Morning, brothers and sisters. Doing another Sabbath lesson for you guys today. But before we start, we must give glory, honor, and praise to the Most High in heaven. Glory, honor, and praise to His Son Yeshua. Amen. Today's lesson, ladies and gentlemen, is one that had a lot to do with me growing up as a kid and as a young adult. And the lesson is how the devil uses sport to distract us and use it against us, okay? I was distracted by sports as a kid. I played football. I did bodybuilding. I did boxing. I tried to make it as a star in those chosen sports. We are told in our society, if we don't make it in our chosen sport, we are nothing, we have failed, okay? Sports was everything to me. It nearly killed me a couple of times. I remember when I was playing for New South Wales in 1988. I was killed on the football field. I remember I tackled the front row around the legs, and then the other front row ran on the other side, and I hit him around the legs and hit the other side of my head, and I was actually in the grandstand watching him run down the sideline, and our fullback Matt Farley tackled him over the sideline, and I was up in the grandstand watching him. And when he made that tackle, I was jumping up and down in the grandstands with everyone else, and then they woke me up. My face was flat in the dirt. Yeah, so I've had an out-of-body experience. I believe I was dead. You know, but praise the Most High, He sent me back to my body to do what I'm doing on the earth today. I hope. That's why I got sent back. Only the Most High knows everything. I almost died as a bodybuilder in the 1997 Mr. Australasia. When I had a blood infection, okay, I got knocked out cold as a boxer. When I was learning the sport, I started boxing in an Arab gym. Which is probably not the smartest thing to do if you're the only Aussie. But I was a big, strong bodybuilder and I could take a punch, so the boys loved beating the crap out of me. It wasn't until later on that I learned how to roll with punches and catch punches. I'd never been hurt boxing probably for the last 6 years. My son called me once when I was having a couple of drinks. We had a spar. I remember I wasn't concentrating and he knocked me down. You know, good on him. I wasn't concentrating, but other than that, I hadn't been hurt in boxing. Okay. People always say to me, wow, you got hurt so much playing rugby league. Why did you take up boxing? Any parent that's thinking about putting their kid into football, I advise you that boxing is a lot safer. When you're a good player in rugby league, the whole team will try and take you out, especially if the other players in your team are a bit scared or lazy. You know, if you're a best player, the whole team will try and take you out. And especially if you played like me, I was just a meathead, big hitter. I was only 75 kilos, I think. Yeah, I did myself a lot of damage. At least boxing's one-on-one. You know, when you learn to roll with punches, you don't get hurt. Uh, Sports also distracted me as a spectator as well. I remember growing up and as a young adult, I always used to get really upset when my team lost, but when they won, I was never really that happy. After all, I never got anything out of it. I didn't get paid. I didn't go to any of their celebrations. My mortgage wasn't paid off any faster. When my team lost, I started thinking, why am I so upset? My kids are still alive. I still have my house. I still have my health. I still have money in my bank account. Why am I getting so upset over something I have no control over? That's what started me researching this topic. And this is what I found. The Roman Caesars figured out under the Roman Empire that if you gave your slaves weekend games, they worked harder during the week and didn't complain as much. That still happens today. We are still under the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire dispersed, it wasn't defeated. Okay, my friends at work, as long as their AFL team is winning, they couldn't care less about what's going on in our country. I see that every day. Okay, if I could read a Bible verse to you guys, the book of Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, and it reads, the things that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. Okay. So, there's nothing new under the sun. Satan will just use the same tactics under every empire. Sports is a big one to distract us. Remember, we are the clay, we are God's people, and the Roman Empire is the iron. In the book of Daniel, the clay and the iron are mixed together in the feet of the giant. They won't mix. That means that this empire will not last very long. Okay. When we have weekend games, we are distracted. It distracts us. We are more likely not to follow the commandments of God and obtain eternity. Satan can't change prophecy, but he can distract us so much that we don't bother to read it. The Bible and the scriptures. Also, there's a lot of violence going on. Parents getting involved in their kids' sports games. You know, that's all sinning. We lose track of the big picture, yeah? We also don't really pay much attention to what our government is doing. I see this every day at my work. They couldn't care less about what the government's doing as long as their footy team is winning. Another reason why we have so much sport is because when 300-pound athletes are concentrating on their chosen sport, they are less likely to be a problem for the government. If they have millions of dollars in contracts to protect, they are less likely to revolt against the government. If you have a look around, most of the people riding against the governments today are only little fellas. Not much trouble for the New World Order police force to take care of. Also, the athletes that are concentrating on their chosen sports are much less likely to follow God's commandments when concentrating so much on to be perfect in their chosen sports. Some of these sports are brutal. Satan's plan is to kill all of us. So if we die trying to be the best or kill someone else, we are breaking God's commandments. Thou shalt not kill. By being obsessed with their sports, sometimes they try and kill the other opponent, which is a big sin. MMA, boxing, NFL, rugby league, AFL, they're all brutal sports. We will be judged by God's law even if we kill someone playing the sport. Okay. Also, a lot of athletes are so dedicated to being successful in their sport, they selling their soul to the devil. Some, just by not following God's commandments, by only concentrating on their chosen sport, some literally sell their soul to the devil. There's a good show on YouTube. It's called They Sold Their Soul for Rock and Roll. You guys look Hollywood $20 Million Club. Or professional sports, blood sacrifice. That's another lesson. But the main reason why we have sport is to distract us from what's happening in the earth today. The prophecies of Matthew 24 are happening right before our very eyes. As long as we have sport, the masses are pretty much distracted. If I could read those verses for you guys today, Matthew 24 and 21. For then shall be a great tribulation, such as not since the beginning of the world to this time, not nor ever shall be. Matthew 24 and 22. And except those days should be shortened, there shall be no flesh saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Okay. So the average bloke on the street doesn't know anything about what's going on, couldn't care less, as long as Richmond's winning. Satan uses sport as a big tool to deceive us and distract us. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's my lesson for today. Just in finishing, I would like to say glory, honor and praise to the Most High in heaven. Glory, honor and praise to His Son Yeshua. Amen.